What's going on, folks? Once again, Nev from Nev's Tech Bits, and it looks like the 5G protests in the UK is continuing. 5G protests sabotage Dutch phone towers. Opponents of the rollout of the new 5G data network have damaged and set alight several towers in the Netherlands. Activists have expressed concerns over possible health risks and privacy violations. Protesters targeted a number of cellular broadcast towers throughout the Netherlands to oppose the new 5G telecommunications network, Dutch newspaper reported on Saturday. Towers in Rotterdam, Liessel, Besied, and Nuenen were severely damaged by fire, Rob told the newspaper. This individual is the director of Monet Foundation, association that oversees the implement of cell towers and coordinates with the government on behalf of the network operators, including KPN, T-Mobile, Vodafone. In his words, effing 5G were written in the transmission box on one of the attack towers. Yeah, it sounds like if people aren't big fans of 5G right now, eh? So, the big question on everyone's minds right now is, does 5G actually affect you? Does 5G give you cancer? If I'm around a 5G tower, will my nuts just blow off? I've talked with carded electricians and electrical engineers about this very question. In fact, one time I was putting up an access point around an electrical engineer, and he let me know that not only is it bad for him to be at that location, but the more wireless we had and the stronger it was, the more likely that we would get cancer. And this is a reasonable individual. Past that, I like to listen to the blog from Eli the Computer Guy. And Eli the Computer Guy will tell you pretty quickly that does this stuff cause cancer? Yes, it does. But it only does it in such a small number of cases. I can't give you the exact figure, but a very rare amount of people will get this issue. But the thing about our DNA and our cells is that they themselves are constantly mutating. They themselves are constantly changing. I shouldn't go that far. In fact, I take that back because I don't want to get in that argument with some people right now. But if you ask the World Health Organization, what they say, and they say that electromagnetic radiation definitely does stuff. I'm going to leave the link to this in the description. The evidence was reviewed critically and overall evaluated as being limited amongst users of wireless telephones for various reasons. But wireless radiation will definitely mess you up. Unfortunately, but it's not going to do it to everybody. It's going to do it to a small amount of people. And a lot of people will be like, well, if it happens to even a small amount of people, it shouldn't happen. Well, the thing is, the cell phone that you're using right now that you likely have in front of you, even the wireless that you have, will hurt a small amount of people. Just like peanut butter will affect a small amount of people. Just like any medication that you take will affect a small amount of people. Why do we do it? Because sorry for your eyes, I shouldn't scroll up like that, it's rude. We do it because it affects such a small amount of people and it helps out such a bigger amount of people that we just go with it. We're pretty much okay with it just because it's such a small amount of people. Anyways, the Russians Times, man, there's a big video. I'm going to put this in the description too, but there's definitely scientists that will tell you that 5G definitely has some health problems. Once again, it's just something that we just seem to live with. I'm going to leave this Russian Times video in the description. Now, you're going to want to go out there and get more information. Don't just rely on me. Definitely go get more information. But as I was researching, one interesting thing that I found is 4G and 5G messes with UHF spectrums that are just out there that people are already using. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you that people are already using the 5G spectrum and things around the 5G spectrum. We shouldn't be concerned about 5G so much coming up as the fact it's already being used silently, and nobody's talking about that. Nobody's saying anything about that. It just exists out there. But now Alex Jones, everybody else can jump on this and say, hey, you got to buy my pills and my vitamins and live life this way and buy my books because this stuff is out there and this stuff is happening. And man, I tell you, with the videos that I've made previously about 5G, I can tell you there's definitely a giant pool of individuals out there, conspiracy theorists and whatnot, who love this stuff, who crave this kind of information as entertainment. But it's not entertainment. It's not supposed to be. NBC, stop playing dramatic soundtrack in the background of all of your TV shows, because you're selling entertainment and you're selling a point of view, but you're not exactly selling the truth. Anyways, 5G routers are more dangerous than regular routers. These routers inside of your home, ladies and gentlemen, if you are concerned about 5G routers, or sorry, if you're concerned about 5G, then why do you have routers in your house? I'm sure that you don't actually have wireless in your house if you're one of these individuals who is taking down these towers. And I'm sure you're not the type of individual who has a cell phone or uses cellular technology at all, because as these articles show, and as any reasonable people with understanding of how this wireless works knows, is that all wireless will give you cancer. So if you're burning cell phone towers down, you better not be using wireless. So check out, I'm going to leave this in the description, this article telling you that your 5G Wi-Fi router is worse for you than your regular 2.5 gigahertz. Sorry, I should say your 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi router. New Wi-Fi routers have this 5 gigahertz thing, which doesn't get you much range, but will give you more power. And the thing is about these routers, and also about 5G, is they will not go through a wall or plate glass very well at all. So if we're around 5G towers and we go inside, we're going to be just fine, ladies and gentlemen, because this wavelength doesn't come through your house very well. How do you even burn one of these things down without hurting yourself? Like, seriously. Alex Jones was saying that how he'd do it is he'd pull it down with the chain on the back of a car and just pull it down. But seriously, that's you gotta have some talent in order to burn something like you gotta plan ahead. You gotta really know what you're doing. It's not like you can just douse it in gasoline and bring it down. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if we are against the man, if we're against 5G, if we're against hurting people, then not only are we going to get rid of our cellular phones, but we're going to get rid of our wireless routers, and we're going to get rid of our neighbors' wireless routers too, because that wireless is bad for us. It's bad for all of us. Apparently it's bad enough that we're going out there to burn this stuff down. So if we're the type of individuals that would burn these towers down, then we're also the type of individuals who don't want wireless in our house or around us. Personally, I love my Wi-Fi, I love my cellular, but at the same time, I don't think we need 5G right now. They're advertising that the farmers should be using 5G. Actually, let's pull a video of that up. Okay, so here we have a video from Vodacom SA talking about how 5G will help the farming industry. But the thing is, if you have 5G, like if you are in a city, you need one cell tower for every city block. So let's say that's about 10 acres. You are going to have a lot of 5G towers out there, ladies and gentlemen. I don't see why you'd need 5G when you have 4G that gets further. And so one argument that they make is 5G you can connect more things to. But if you're making crops, you might need a sensor. Geez, not all that far. You wouldn't need 5G. You don't need 5G for farming. 4G is enough. So I'm just saying we don't need to push it out there so far with the farmers, because man, 4G is just fine. Geez, even 3G might be fine, because these moisture sensors, they wouldn't be sending a lot of information back and forth. Like, do they need this stuff? Yes, it would be great, but do they need 5G to use everything that they're going to be using? I don't think so. Man, I live in villages. I was in 4-H, and I just don't see the need for 5G for farmers. Here's another thing I don't quite get. The availability for reliable digital infrastructure is essential. The connections are desperately needed for hospitals and care homes. And then there are those who deliberately set fire set radial mass on fire. Incomprehensible and unacceptable. It's just, okay, so I get you shouldn't burn these things down, but what I don't get is why hospitals and care homes desperately need wireless. I believe they need Wi-Fi, but I don't see why everything would need to be hooked up with a SIM card to a wireless data provider. They should be hooked up locally on local infrastructure, and they shouldn't be hooked into cellular. With the price of cellular in Canada, geez, even in the US, if you were having everything going through cellular, that's just like, I get the Internet of Things, but that's a lot of data for a huge price. For a huge price, they wouldn't do that, right? They wouldn't need it for that. That'd be local stuff they'd need it for. Either way, I'd like to pass the question on to you, the viewer. How do you feel? What do you believe? Did I miss something? Is there critical information that I should know? I'd really appreciate it if you left it in the comments, folks. Anyways, like and subscribe if you like this kind of stuff. Always appreciate it. It helps me and the family out. And have a good one, friends. Take care of each other. Seriously.